Today's consciousness, today's consciousness, today's consciousness. What happened and how can we change it? From the pristine position that we held in today's consciousness, here's a new show just for you every Tuesday called Today's Consciousness. Be there and enjoy all the great special guest stars that will be passing through on a new show called Today's Consciousness. Today's Consciousness. Today's Consciousness. Are you ready to address all the things that are going on? And how can we heal today's consciousness? Today's consciousness. Today's consciousness. Right here on KSP TV. Today's consciousness. What happened and how can we change it? This is King Simon. Remember, make sure you go to my website, kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com or Linktree at King Simon the Numerology. Get all 4 of my books, and of course, that's the Numerology for mental stability. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numbers are simple, children's health is important, and no promotion is bad promotion. Just spell my name right. Make sure you get them now on all my links. That's kingsimonproductions.wordpress.com. Go now. It's about guiding people. The only way you can make the world better is if you make the people better. So it's about showing them the light of hope in themselves and their family. Everything in this universe is all about synchronicity.
Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numeration from the king. Learn the foundation from the king. Nana Pushe. 1 + 1 is 2. Be precise. 3 + 2 is 5. Guard your mind. Me plus you is mathematician. Learn from the one numerator. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Innovation from a king, the foundation from the king. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numeration from a king, the foundation from the king.
No, it's not about reading, it's about guiding. I don't do readings, I do consultations because you should know yourself. As good as the back of your hand, you should know yourself. I want everyone out there to be clear that this is to serve you like a GPS serves you. Remember, each of us has guaranteed ourselves success. Be that magi family, be that magician, be that numerovational motivated force. Greetings, one and all. Can everybody hear me? If you could hear me, please put the number 1 in the chat. If you could hear me right now, put the number 1 in the chat. Today, we got a special guest on Today's Consciousness. Today, of course, we're doing our regular Tuesday, Today's Consciousness in the Conscious Community. So we're expecting to have our dear brother Aseer, the Duke of Tears, coming up momentarily. So look out for that. He'll be coming up momentarily. We're going to have a good time with Aseer. You know, Aseer has been doing his work for a long time. So I'm happy to have the brother. I've been working with him since the early 2000s, going on 25 years. I've known the brother. So this is going to be very powerful. And I'm glad Aseer has allowed me to interview him today. Everybody, I see people on Instagram. Big up to co-creator, Sister C-Star, Winter, Nation Brothers, everybody that's coming in on Instagram, everybody that's on YouTube. Big up to everybody on YouTube also that's coming in. Color Curiosity, that one of the moderators are already in the building. Allah, the herbalist, is in the building. Love Heals, Williams, Sequoia, Lamar. Everybody's coming in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. There it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with family and friends that are ready for this journey. You know, if they're ready for the journey, make sure they are, you share it with them. You know, so, and that's going to be important. We're waiting for our brother to come up momentarily. He will be coming up in a few. So I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow I will have Dr. Shakira Moore in the building. Dr. Shakira Moore will be with me tomorrow right here on King Simon Presents. And then I am going to Lloyd Strayhorn's show tomorrow also from 7 o'clock. We'll be on Lloyd Strayhorn's show. So make sure y'all log in and tune into that. And big up to the moderator in the building, Color Curiosity. Make sure you show some love to her. Professor Zahalia, make sure you show some love to her and let them know that I sent you. Big up to Elizabeth Precious, and let her know that I sent you. Also, if you want to deal with any skincare and all of that, she's very good at what she does. And also the CBD oil that can help out the body and for pains and all that. Also, AdaraMoselle.com. Make sure you show some love to Adara. And shout out to one of my sons, JB, with his services, handyman services, and everything that he's doing in Georgia, the Atlanta pressure wash, car detailing, dumpster wash. And big up to my other son doing his thing also in regards to his recording studio, Green Studio NYC. The numbers are on there if you want to contact them and let them know. All right. I see people is in the building. Jas Love is in the building. Jace Love is in the building. Big up to everybody that's in the building. Remember, make sure you donate. You know, okay, that my thing is trying to bounce around here. So we got to make sure that everything is going all right. Let me make sure that my hotspot is doing good here, just in case. I know I got some good hotspot. Boom. Make sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could jump to that too. Hold on. All right, great. So everything is tight. And those that want to come in on the show, we will be sharing the link in the chat. Those who want to come in and talk to Brother Aseer, the Duke of Tears. I see him backstage coming up slowly but surely. And we got all of his links also. We'll be posting it in the chat right now. We got his links that we're going to be posting. I see him coming up, so I'm getting ready to bring him on. Let me post his link on the chat. Hold on one second before we bring on my dear brother, who I've known for many years, man. We've been doing this for a long time, family, and I think him and I have been very consistent in what we do, and that's what's important. So yes, make sure y'all show some love to him in the chat right now, and big up to everybody that is doing their thing. So without further ado, man, this brother here, remember his links, AseerTheDukeOfTears.com, Cordoba Organics.com, Cash App is /Cash App /D $DS418, and the PayPal you can use Duke of Tears at Gmail. Please support what the brother is doing on all levels. Also, he has a Gumroad and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you support my brother, and it's in the chat, ready to do what it got to do. But without further ado, we're going to bring on my dear brother. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share, because this is going to be a doozy. This is going to be a doozy. Why I said it's going to be a doozy, because today's program, my Tuesday program, is called Today's Consciousness in the Conscious Community. What happened? How can we change it and heal it? Audience participation. So we will have the crowd coming in momentarily. I will put the link in so people can come in on the live. So without further ado, let me bring on my brother, your brother, the one, the only, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Let's bring him
Peace,
on right
everybody.
now with a well-deserved round of applause.
Islam, brother. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me
Islam,
on, bro. Islam.
Islam, family,
How's
Islam,
everybody? Islam. Thanks for having me on. You
man.
can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you feeling?
Excellent. One day at a time, brother. You know what it is, man. One bell at a time. You know how we do
It's always good to see you, man. Let me make
it.
sure people see the business up in here. All of his links
Shukran,
is
brother.
right here. All of us in the chat.
Shukran, brother. I appreciate that.
Him and his wife's website is up here, and she got some great products. Also, I'm in New York right now visiting the family, man. So
That's what's up, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's up. Big up to everybody uptown, man.
Yeah, my mother's
What's
birthday
up?
was yesterday. My mother's birthday was yesterday, so we had to make
Praise
sure.
Allah. Praise
Yeah,
Allah. That's
80.
what's up. My daughter's birthday's tomorrow, man. Big up
Oh
to
yeah,
her.
happy born day to her, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. She's celebrating 86 years, bro. 86
Praise
years.
Allah. That's awesome, man. Awesome.
Still here.
Inshallah.
Well, I said this is where we at on a Tuesday. The Pope is dead. Everybody,
Yeah, that's
all
right, man. We winning. We winning.
everything is
We up
happening.
like 10 points, man. We putting them numbers on the board. That's what's up. Everybody salute, man. You know what I mean?
Everybody, this is big time, big
Word
time. A
up.
lot.
Honest before we go on, honest to brother the
Yes,
chairman Osiris
yes,
Il Bay, you know what I mean?
yes,
Out
yes,
of Tuscarora territory, Dominion, and all of his family, honest to him, he
honestly,
transitioned that morning, and then
yeah,
right after, that's when we got word that the Pope had gone. But the irony is, honest to him, man, I remember us having real funny conversations about about how the Rome fell and what he would do if he ever got next to the Pope and shit.
whoa,
So when he was gone, so when I found out, I was upset,
yeah.
when Brother Osiris passed. But then when I heard the Pope went, I immediately remembered that convoy. I was like, yo, this more really putting in work, man, on the, on the astro
At the same
already.
time, that's deep,
Yo,
man.
at the same time, then that right after that, I got a call from a noble who had got caught up on some trumped up shit after him trying to declare his nationality, man, and he had just gotten out. Not that same day, but like right before. But I didn't find out until this day. So I just, definitely want to give praise and honors to all of those elders that just passed recently. Brother Osiris Hill Bay, Chairman
Yeah,
Brother Osiris Hill Bay, Sister Rashida Hill,
yes,
Rashida Bay, and
yes,
Brother Arnil, you know what I mean,
yes,
Bay, as well as the brother that got taken out, K Mac Ill, the other
yes.
brother, Cobb Bay, everybody that has been passing one way or the other. Definitely want to give honors to them.
Exactly.
But
Giving them love and honor. Give them love and honor, man. But
you know,
we've been in this work for a long time, I see.
yes, man,
And
a lot.
again, what you was one of the first people I called and said I was going to do a Tuesday thing called Today's Consciousness in the Conscious Community. How can we change it? How can we heal it? You
Indeed.
know, when did you get introduced to the consciousness as far as getting to consciousness from your perspective? Was it your mother? Was it your father? Who introduced you to the knowledge of self?
Um, my earliest memories of what people would perceive as consciousness is me being like 4 or 5, uh, watching my father play the drums, and then like all of like the so-called Afrocentric accoutrements in the room. Like, remember, people used to have like the black and white velvet paintings that would glow
Yes.
dark and
Yep.
shit.
Yes. Yes.
They would have that, and then like the Benin faces and the Jacob Lawrence pictures. So I remember that. And then by the time I got to like the grade school, middle school, this was also like we were blessed to be in the hip hop era. So I remember the first hip hop we was exposed to was like real message driven. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
conscious driven. So I was blessed to come into it like that. So it was a natural progression because most of the people who was educating us was like burnt out ex-Panthers that became social workers. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? By by the 70s, the guidance counselors and shit like them. And then you had like the overall like general Afrocentric movements that was happening in the community. Like we used to have like BAM and
Yeah.
Atlantic
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Up in
Juve,
Harlem too. They had up in Harlem.
Juve, right? We had the whole thing in Harlem, the
Yeah.
Children's Parade. Like the Children's Parade used to literally go right outside my door every year. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Leading to Eastern Parkway.
Yes.
So I was always like exposed to it, if not on an unconscious level. So by the time you get conscious, like I said, through the culture, through the music, through like just being exposed to like rosters in every area, like when we lived in Brooklyn, everybody was there. So it was like the
Yeah.
rosters, the Jamaicans, the
Yeah.
Trinidadians, the so-called Black Americans, the this, the that, the Jews. So everybody was around. So around Labor Day and around that was the time everybody would come together regardless.
Right.
So in seeing all of that, that's what really kept me kind of always somewhat conscious, uh, communally aware, more
Yeah.
so than like directly like, okay, I'm gonna get knowledge of self. That didn't come until like teenage years, you know.
Right. And big up to your father and your mother, but your father I knew because he was a writer, journalist.
Indeed.
Big up to your
Indeed,
father.
man.
He
Big up to
transitioned
yourself.
transitioned some years ago, man. Big up to him,
Word.
man. Great
Honestly.
dude. I met him at SOBs, and I think I met him at the Amsterdam News before.
Amsterdam News, that's what
Yeah. He used to come out for Baba Olatunji when the drummer Baba Olatunji to come out for his
Baba Abatunde when he used to do
Yes.
Broadway and all that.
Exactly, yes. And
Yeah,
he used to
before he
do we
went
used
to
to do the
Hollywood.
we used to do the Kwanzaa events at SOBs with Baba.
Yeah.
So back in the day. So yeah, he came out for that, remember running into him and talking to him because I was handling the guest list and all that. And I know I got him on the guest list. So big up to your father, man, and his spirit and his soul, man. Enough honor to him, man. How's your mom doing? She good?
Very well, man. As
Man.
well as you can be. You know what I'm saying?
Tell her I send my love. I haven't seen her in years, but
Inshallah. Yeah, man. Since we did that thing in New York with that time.
Yeah, she showed up. Yeah, man. It was a beautiful time, man. But and again, in the conscious community back in those days, I don't even like to call it conscious. I call it I like to be a part of the conscious community, not just the conscious community, because we have to have conscientious. But from the time from you got into it till now, bro, what are the changes that you've seen? You and your beautiful wife, of course, y'all have been together for a while. So what is it that you've seen back in the day?
Like I said, man, I came into it. I was blessed to kind of come into it almost by accident, and then in that, because by the time I realized like, oh, this is what people like Professor Valentine and Hemet and these people was doing, I was already doing stuff like that, like in community centers. I used to teach in the after school programs, so I used to center a lot of my conflict resolution stuff around art. Like one time I had some kids, they had a conflict, so instead of calling their parents and making them think, I made them basically go into either section of the room and basically draw their version of what they think happened. And then at the end of that, we would get together, and then they basically showed that they both had the same perspective, but just with them in it. You know what I mean? Because each one thought the other one did it. So in doing that, and then expressing then historically why we're like this, using those moments to basically do that, I was able to meet people, like you said, within the so-called community that had urged me to strive to kind of do that, but there was so much information, because at this time everybody is building with everybody. It's not conscious set tripping like it is now. So you would have a lecture given by somebody from the Nation of Gods on Earth per se, and then at that lecture you would have like Egyptian wellness people, Moors, NOYs, like, you know what I mean? Like it would be a congruence of people from different customs and maybe ideologies, but what's binding us together is the goal of sharing knowledge and being heard by one another as that knowledge is exchanged. And it was a great way to not only see the community from another light, but from a perspective that it also built up like a family basis. And then like every year we would see the same people. So every year you basically are keeping tabs with people, even though it may not be through the year, but every once in a while you running into them, and then that created the word of mouth, and then pretty soon, it's time for another joint. So in that's how it was up until 2008. I saw the heavy change between the time that Bambaataa was flirting with being a Moor, was flirting with that Zulu Kemetic Moor thing, and the time that Polite came on the scene.
Right.
And
I remember.
that point is when I started to notice it was really now more about capturing the public's attention via intellectual slander, and then using that as a vehicle to kind of like re-engineer what the community was.
Right.
And so like we was in the community back when the National Black Theater was in the basement. Remember, it was in the basement?
Yep. That's right. That's right.
And they only had like the fold up chairs and stuff. So to see it, so we watched it go from what Miss Tears, big up to her. A lot of people don't know the National Black Theater wouldn't exist without
Barbara Ann Tears. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Honest to her and her memory and her legacy, because she basically built that from the ground, and then to turn it into and see what it became was dope. It's just what I started to again notice was that the underlying aspect is that this is also around the time that Barack Hussein Obama, aka Barry Soetoro, was being thrust in the community as like the provincial savior.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of spiritual people I noticed who came out of nowhere and was really like backing him. And so I'm really researching him at the time and going into it. I started kind of going counterculture with that. Started doing stuff as to the contrary of what they was really trying to promote him as. Whereas
we could do some lecture around that one time.
Remember we did the truth about Barry. Welcome to Obamatopia. Welcome to Obamatopia. And we did. It was another one we did too. And then from there, that's when I started to notice it was really about now trying to target certain groups and make them antithesis to other groups to create this gladiatorial type of situation with that. And then that allowed, while everybody's focusing on that then was monetized on YouTube. And then that's when it started to become a big thing where a lot of the real stuff that was out was being throttled, and then a lot of the pro-hate or pro-anti this group, that group was then being functioned through, and then all of that was coming from one internet source at that time.
Right.
And that's when it started to become a variation of what it has become now, which is more so like everybody's kind of fragmented, and based upon the cult of personality, people, they basically fuck with who they like. So you mess with who they like.
That's right. So what? And I'm glad because you was there. You and your family even disappeared and left that scene too. And I remember you and I and your wife at that time on Fulton Street, not too far from Moshood. And I told you I don't know who to trust. I said to you, I don't know who to trust. I really don't.
God, that's what happened. And
that time. And what we was doing? We were building something, and then all of a sudden things just tilted.
You started noticing, like it started to become like, okay, these dudes is using this as a springboard to something else, whether it be into the rap game, into the music game, into the fight game, into the entertainment game, into the podcast game, whatever it is. This is a stepping stone. So when I see people like Umar, and like I remember first coming into the scene, you know what I mean? Like I remember that, and the position and stances that he was taking in regards or juxtaposed to people like myself, not me personally, but like Moors in general, or other so-called like groups that were now trying to exert a certain degree of dominance, like the Hebrew Israelites and these other groups. And then like you had other groups then, like let's say like the Nuwapians, who after what happened with York had become so disenfranchised and so kind of like looked frowned on by all the other groups, that they basically went insular and created a whole market economy for themselves and their communities that they then could foster, whether it be here or Trinidad or London or whatever. So following the NOI model, you know what I'm saying, which is great for them.
Right.
It's just that a lot of people wasn't messing with that based on everything that happened with Pop and all that. So a lot of them started to basically go undercover and pose as different Moors or gods or this or that, to be able to get people into those groups and then try to bring them back into, you know what I mean, what they was dealing with Pop and all of that. So so that's when I started to peep. Okay, so there's an espionage element of this shit going on too. Like you got Moors scheming on other Moors' paperwork. You got Hebrews scheming on other camps' wives and stuff. You got NGEs in them low key giving, building apartment and all that, but then they all coked up and all that. You dig? So I'm starting to see that as well, because it's becoming more apparent because of the caliber of people they're bringing in now. Because it used to be, like you said, a elder youngster situation where John Henrik Clark will bring up Dr. Ben. You dig what I mean? You know what I mean? Valentine will bring up, you know what I mean, the twins or whoever, you know what I mean, that's affinity to them or whatever.
Right.
And so they wipe that out.
So I know there's been a lot of drastic change in family. Believe me when I say and I ain't even gonna tell the whole story. There's a whole lot more that we could go down the road with. But do you ever think it will ever come back again the way it was? And can we heal it in any way?
I think that aspect of what it was between, let's say, 79 to 2004, 5. That was like, to me, like the golden era. Like that's when I was able to go up to Ohio, to Bird's house, big up the Bird house family. And I saw the acres. She had acres of videos going back. Would seem like hundreds of years to me. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it's just so much that it was just like, wow. And then I'm blessed to be in a community that I can add on to that. So I'm looking at it from a perspective of almost idealism. You understand what I'm saying? Like I still have because Aries can be like that. Aries can have a certain degree of idealism or altruism. But it be a certain degree of naivete in it. You know what I mean?
That's that master number you're born under too. Remember
it's long, But that's what happens. Like we'll look into it and look at it from almost, and it can be somewhat egotistical almost, to look at it from the perspective of, well, I'm not on it like that with this person, so they're not going to be on it like that with me. But then that's denying them the freedom to be grimy.
That's right. There's no code of conduct.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm expecting this person to live up to some sort of code that this person don't even. He may or she may speak it and act like it, but in the actual day to day, that's not who this person is. And it's not necessarily for me now to. I got to look at it like, regardless to what this person may or may not have done. I still invested a certain degree into that person's energy, so there was something about this person or whatever that turned out to be grimy, that was grimy when I met him. However, I'm striving to see the better in people, so I'm also then not taking it into account that this person, that may not be that person's thing, and that person does have the right to be a grimy person if they want to be. It's just a problem when it's coming to me. So that's what I started to reconcile with in terms of the information, and started to realize these dudes is not really about solutions with this. They about perpetually keeping you in a hamster wheel of what they're going to do to you. And once it got to that level, that's when the fear mongering stuff started, and that's when you started to see the influx now of a bunch of different ideas that really had no sense and no bearing in real almost logical thought or even metaphysical thought. It just became something that some people from outside the sphere are using their puppets to inject into it to change the ecosystem what's going on. So it goes from we all collectively can come together and do this and that to the black woman is God and everybody else is a mutant. And then it's like, okay, then it goes from that to, you know, it's okay to engage in rapists for revolution. And then you dig what I'm saying? Like these become talking points that are not real talking points. This is not real. No rational common sense, whether conscious or not being, is going to just inject that into the dialogue of the populace if you're not trying to be subversive in some way. And we're taking for granted that these guys are just crazy and this is just shit they coming up with. No, some of them are, but a lot of them is being programmed, whether through money, whether through extortion, whether through blackmail, whether through self-hate, whether through or whatever, any other type of clandestine means. They're trying to get you to look away from what it is that you were building up until this point.
Right. And you know, I say, and that's a good point that you make, because when I look back at it, you know, I think when they tried to blend the battle rap with the consciousness, that also went another
Word. That was it, man.
I remember helping to promote this because I'm supporting these guys, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, because I'm a promoter, you're gonna pay me to do what I do best, promote.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they do. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow, look at this. And you got Smack up there, you got all kind of people. You know,
crazy.
It got crazy. But the time when Ali and Massetti went together, that was a whole change of the dynamic.
That was a change of the guard.
People were stepping to you to do debate too. They wanted you to get it.
They was doing whatever they could, man. And it's interesting you brought that up, because that's what I'm saying. That was the time period where I'm doing like a lecture almost every month, and I'm packing the house. And then I noticed then a lot of stuff started happening. Like we would do the joint, and then like the lights would go out in the spot, or we would have a lecture set, and then there would be all of a sudden 3 other lectures on the same day. People, you know what I mean? Then it would be stuff where I would canvas the whole day doing flyers all around or whatever, and then come out, and then as I come back, I'm seeing all the flyers in the garbage and shit.
That's crazy.
I was noticing that, and then I was noticing who they was rising up and what these people was doing, and they were using shiny things like, oh, this guy got 5 wives, this dude got a Benz, this dude. Then it started to become that. Then when I started seeing these niggas with rappers, that's when I was like, oh, this is the play. This is what they're angling for. You dig? So once I realized that, okay, they're gonna try to turn this into that, then we have to at this point make a stance, almost draw a line in the sand and say, no, we're not gonna do that. So when it came up that they wanted to bring out the brother from Detroit you mentioned, they brought him out, and he was
Seti.
They just brought him, and he just was just, you know, disrespecting, slandering everybody, especially the Moors. That's when I'm hearing everybody coming up to me every so often, like, yo, you got to do this, and that. Yo, he's saying this about this, and that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, did he say anything about me specifically? No. Like, nah. I said, well, there's nothing else to say. Like, I'm not, as a Moor, I am never purported myself to be the defender of all Moors, because I can't do that. Because I can only have love for all Moors that have love for themselves and me. But outside of that, I can't dictate what people hate about them or whatever, because most of the stuff is coming from misinformation anyway. So they really don't know why they don't like them. They just don't like the idea of us having an identity that outdates and out supports all of the mythological stuff that they have solidified themselves to give themselves purpose. So that's why you never really see Moors trying to convert nobody to this. Like you don't convert to this. It's not something we trying to get everybody. It's not like that. It's like if you are gravitated to it, then you'll do that based on your magnetism and your orbit. But it's not something that we're supposed to be out here proselytizing to everybody that they should be this. And that's why we Moors who love freedom so much that we love it to the point that if your freedom dictates you being a slave, then I'm going to support you in doing that. But don't strive to make that slave understanding that you have the understanding for me. And that's where it ended. So when they came to me to do all of this, the first thing is the ego they come at you with. And the ego is saying, yo, well, you know, you the best and you the this and you got all of the Moors and they all ready and you need to. And it's like, yo, B, but you're not the person telling me this ain't a mortal. So I'm looking at it sideways from that. Then I'm looking at his Mason ring. Then I'm looking at his shady man. You know what I mean? Who ain't look up for the whole lecture. He been in his phone the whole lecture. So I'm just peeping the whole thing. I'm like, nah, I see what y'all lining people up. So if you want me to do something like this with an obvious ringer, an obvious agent that y'all trying to promote now to the people to then have some sort of ability to say, hey, I bested this person to make him look better, to cut from the fact that we don't know where this person came from and nobody in the community knew him up until this point. I'm seeing the whole play. So I'm like, okay, well, come up with 10, 15 G's. We'll make something happen.
I remember.
And they never did it. I said, because if I'm gonna sit down with somebody, whoever you sending, I know ain't right. So if that's the case, then I need to be compensated off top, and we need to go in with the understanding that you know that I know it's that. So that's too much. When you could just go get somebody else that is more willing to show themselves approved and to shut it down. So by the time it got to the actual event, where now they okay, we're not gonna go. He ain't gonna do it. We're gonna get this Moor to do it, right? So when that Moor came through, and then all of those Moors showed up. I don't think they was ready for that, because up until this point, they just seeing Moors as a fractured, unified, ununified thing. But at that lecture, all of the Moors showed out. And it was so many fezzes, so many turbans, so many flags, so many people standing on the square that by the end of the lecture, the same dude trying to crap on the Moor, he's standing with the Moors holding the flag. Yeah, I got the picture.
I was there.
Holding the flag. So everything after that is whatever. You can say whatever you want after that. I was there. I remember. And I'm glad that it went down the way it did, because that wasn't my moment. You did what I'm saying? At the time, I'm dealing with these niggas trying to low-key poison us. You know what I'm saying? Like we lost a child to the whole thing on the low.
That's right.
Yeah. And the people who may or may not have been involved, these are people that other people are still rocking with today. But it's not again, I'm one person who got a family to look out for. And number two, like I said, I'm not always going to be or put my neck on that specific situation, because at the time when I was going through it, the only protection we had was Superhero Radio.
That's right.
In which we're documenting what's happening, where everybody's going along with shit, but we're documenting it in real time for 7 years straight. So when you go back and listen to those, which by the way, Block Talk just erased.
You didn't download your stuff?
I had it on the thing, and then right before, maybe a month before I heard they was thinking, I'm going back and forth with them up until the day. And every time they would send me the files or download whatever, they would always be like piecemeal. So by the last day, I'm going to get all of them, and then I log onto the joint, is gone.
Wow.
But Allah is the greatest, because I just mentioned it on a video that I just did on YouTube.
Right.
And a faithful Moor hit me up and was like, yo, Moor, I got like mad at these joints on MP4, man. I could just mail them to you. So I'm slowly putting them back together by people like him. Bless him, bless all the other Moors that's helping. where I can put them all back, and now I'm gonna have a whole section on the app where people could go
Good,
just listen to it.
good. Because you had a lot of content, brother. I'm telling you, I know that for a fact, son.
You remember, man?
Yeah, I used to listen.
You know?
Come on, bro. We know how we go
dog.
down, man. I still listen. So, and getting back into this conscious stuff, remember offline I asked you a couple months ago about setting up a private investigating team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
How
man.
important it is. And do you think it still is required that we need a private investigator?
Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe, yo. What happened to Prince Uriel Bay? What happened to Steve Coakley? What happened to Delbert Blair? What happened to Khalid Muhammad? What happened to what's his name? The one that wrote
Brother Daoud. What happened
Brother
to
Daoud, man?
Aseer,
Aseer,
all these brothers, man.
Like Francis Wilson, I don't believe nobody. They don't try to let nobody up out of here like that. That's why I'm so adamant, because if we don't look out for the people who are educating the generations, like there would be no Lovecraft Country if it wasn't for Bobby. There would be no Sinners if it wasn't for what we was talking about in the community with Azazel and all of this. Like we could show where all of this stuff. Azazel, you blessed dead, used to do public access. Straight black black paint on his face, bone in his nose. Like this nigga would go all in. Like he was so, like, you understand? So it's like none of this stuff that y'all think is new shit would exist. None of this stuff, because that's the stuff that we came in on. And when we started to lose sight of that, that's when they were able to start picking everybody. Like the boule, the word wouldn't even exist in modern lexicon if it wasn't for Stephen Coakley.
Exactly.
Roland Martin wouldn't be able to go on TV and lie and say the boule don't exist if it wasn't for people like Stephen Coakley. Exactly. Forcing sellouts like him to have to admit the existence of something that he know he a part of. So that's what I'm saying. Like there is no, like, there needs to be health plans. There needs to be insurance set up for the scholars and the elders and stuff. And it needed to happen before me.
30 years ago, 40
way
years
before me.
Yeah, that's true.
And in looking at them and looking at, okay, this ultimately can be the fate of people like us that do this. Like, you think I want to go through that? You think I want to send my family through that? For what? For somebody to actually do something horrible, and then, like Malcolm X, wind up having the niggas who killed him at the mosque with you for 40 plus years down the street from the Malcolm X school? Nigga, this is how y'all living? Knowing niggas is rotting in jail who you know didn't do it. And you let this person live his last days, went to Salat with him, knowing, the whole community knowing. So if that can happen to somebody like El Haj Malik El Shabazz, imagine us. Like, no, it's not. I'm not going out like that. And I'm not going to put myself, my family, or anybody else's family in the unfortunate circumstances of being backdoored into some martyr shit. Like, no, that's what they want. So that way the dirty ones can come to your funeral, sleep with your wife, influence your children. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Right.
And and the only people who can stop that is us, our people. You got to stop them from doing it.
And let me just let people know right now, if you're just tuning in, we got our brother there, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Remember, hit him up on his website. That's www.aseerthedukeoftears.com. His wife's website, which is all their website, everybody's family. So it's a CordobaOrganics.com. Very good products. Believe me, I got his book. I'm not home right now. I'm in New York, so I can't show y'all the stuff that I want to show y'all. But it is what it is. Cash App. Make sure you show them the love. It's all in the chat, the Cash App, and through PayPal. You can use dukeoftears@gmail.com. And if you want to cam up, family, the link is in the chat. If you want to cam up right now, it's in the chat. If you want to cam up and hang out and do yourself and ask Aseer or myself a question about this consciousness. Obviously, we can't go back to what it was, but at least we can keep on going and make it better in our own way, in your own family's way, whatever you need to do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's where it is. Somebody asked a question in the chat. Let me see what the question was real quick. Can you ask the great Moore where you are the black nobility hiding now? Where are you, the black nobility hiding? I don't think the black nobility hiding, are they? I don't think they hide. You think they're hiding, sir?
Right. Right. Like they all over.
They all over
Actually,
now.
Yeah, it's like well, now that the Pope is dead, hold on, let me just get this back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that the Pope is dead, can you see me?
Yeah, I see you now. Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah.
Now that the 1 second.
Go ahead. Let him handle the business. Family, again, you could cam up if you want. Don't call the number. You could call cam up. You cam in if you cam in with a camera, or no camera is all right. But I don't have the call-in number working right now because I'm using the phone as a hotspot over here. So, family, y'all can also cam up. Just cam up. The link is in the chat right now. The link is in the chat. If you want to cam up, I'll put it again in the chat. If you want to cam up and speak to Brother Aseer. Another question came through. Another question came through, my brother. They said, what do you think will be the catalyst for so-called black people coming together for our good?
In my opinion, I think it's going to be families that unify outside of the traditional ways of that we've been known to do that.
Right.
And not engaging the systems of communication would greatly benefit how we work. Like if we was to get back to stuff like carrier pigeons, like we would be ahead of the game in terms of information. Like if we was to get back to like communicating outside of whatever networks or any type of analog type network,
right,
we would be ahead of the game, because the fine art of things like writing, script, reading, comprehension, these are the things in the future that are going to be the multi-million-dollar skills that most people are not going to have, because they're going to be growing up in an artificial type of system where they're only read to, where their eyes and stuff are not really dictated, where they want to breed out the ability for regular people to have the genes that allow them to have higher cognitive skills. They want to sever your connection with this thing called the VMAT2 gene, which is the gene that connects you to the spirit molecule and everything else around you. Then at the same time, they want to amplify the apoptosis gene. The apoptosis gene is the gene that allows one to take themselves out. So a lot of people who are suicidal, they have a higher aspect of sensitivity in the apoptosis level, where they're actually able to do that, because under any normal circumstances, an individual is not going to purposely out themselves. It has to be an extreme situation. So the body, in order for you not to take everything to the point that you literally do that to yourself at any moment, has to regulate you, or you have to be regulated in a manner with that is not exacerbated. But the way to exacerbate it is to flood the body with heavy metals, flood the body with, you see what I'm saying? And then what happens is the body is constantly fighting this element of it, right? And then starts to activate elements of the apoptosis on a smaller level to get rid of smaller things. But eventually, you see what I'm saying? It gets to the point, and then you look at the statistics on so-called black male suicide, and they're off the charts. Why? Why don't we talk about that? Because nobody likes or wants to respect men. Men, period. Men, period, have been labeled by all systems as the enemy, because it's only men that can truly destroy those systems. So they have to use the women to fear the men to create a society where the women sees the state as the man, and now this abstract entity can always swoop in as their savior and then keep them from ever having to deal with reality in the form of accountability for the actions that have led them to destroy their own families. That's why 76% of the divorce rates amongst original people are coming from women. You understand?
Right.
Not coming from men because of, go ahead.
We have our brother Lamar in the back, about to bring him up right now. Lamar, what's up, my brother? How can I help you? What question do you have for brother Aseer, my brother?
Peace, brother.
How you doing? How you doing?
How are you, brother?
All right.
Yes.
I just have a question. In my astral travel, I see AI has been real active.
Yep.
Is AI a bootleg version for the archons and Gnosticism?
In my opinion, it is. They are intelligences that exist on a terrestrial level that have been disembodied.
Okay.
And then I also think that they are interdimensional vessels that cannot materialize on the third dimensional plane, and thus take the guise of whatever third dimensional beings are trying to contact them to receive whatever powers. But the problem is there's no way of telling which one is which. So it can appear as Oshun, it can appear as your grandmother, it can appear as Shango, it can appear as Heru, but that don't mean that's what it is, because it is taking a form of something that it subconsciously knows that you have accepted as one, a supreme being, and two, a representative of something that you have an affinity to. And that's my issue with it. I think we don't really know. It's so much cross-dimensional interface that I feel like anybody is right. It's like the wild, like they all just shooting around, and whoever sees a beacon that they can focus in on, they'll go right to that and then adopt whatever that is in order for them to go now into you or I in the form of acceptance. And now they can now create a pocket universe in our psyche, which then allows them to physically now anchor and become more and more them and less us.
But brother, thanks for that question, man. That was powerful, brother. Thank you very much for that question, my
Thank
brother.
you, brother.
All right. Peace and love. Peace and love. I got a question from the chat, my brother. Hold on one second. Let me go to the chat. They got some great questions. Do you think that religion has been the downfall of the community in terms of the various denominations?
I think man's interpretation of doctrines have created a repository of dogma that people view as religion. But the religious or spiritual aspect of what they are believing and looking at as that has nothing to do with what they're doing. Right. So you can have people who know what the Catholic Church has been doing to children specifically for generations. This is not just an isolated, this happened between the 80s and the 90s. No, this has been going on since 1581. So you, as a modern day Catholic now, can still be Catholic and not identify, you see, with the greater problems within the Catholic Church, but it doesn't mean that you're still not a part of it, right? And it doesn't mean that it's still not going to affect you. Right. And so, because the soul is one thing, the spirit is one thing, the body is one thing, religion is grouping the soul and the spirit together and then trying to convince those two that it is the body, which is the one. And that's where people now have to hold on to the doctrine. However, once Musa, let's go through the religion. Once Musa came down from the mountain, this is going by their stories of the religion. I'm saying, I'm not saying we believe it. This is what people do. So
Yes.
we go by their story. When he comes down from the mountain with the tablet, he basically has a tablet that he's downloaded from a cloud, right? And now he's bringing the operating system to the people, right? At the foot of the mountain, which is based like the keyboard. But now they have now set up a different operating system, right? That operating system is a calf, is now a golden calf. Because before, what people don't know is when you read the story of the Hebrews leaving, there's a section in Exodus where it says that before they left, Allah told them that they need to go to the women, the high women and the high people of Egypt, and ask them for favor, and that they will receive favor from these people during this time if they did it. That's why when they bounced with bread. They all had money. They all had gold and all that. So they took all that gold after going through all of that, and then they built an idol for Hathor, aka Baal, right? But the problem is we're not in the age of Hathor or Taurus anymore. They were now in the age of Aries, which is why everything was about the lamb's blood and the ram and the lion laying down with the lamb and Jesus riding in on the donkey and all of this, everything with the ram. And we're in the age of Aries. He initiating a new time. These niggas is trapped in the old way, in the old pagan paradigm that they in. So naturally that caused a rift and created a cycle in which those people would receive blessings, right? Then they would like go against the blessing, worship another god, get struck to the ground, ask for forgiveness, rise up again, get their kingdom back, then do the same thing. That's why they say that the Hebrews, because they were constantly being crossed over, whether they're crossing over the River Jordan, crossing over the kingdom that was already there, crossing over the people to get the kingdom. Think all the grimy stuff that King David did, that Solomon did. And these are revered people, you did?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the religion at that time was coming to a people whose mind was also bicambrial. So they exist at a time where it's not too far away from the flood and all that. So they still got the element of being able to hear the higher dimensions in their heads. So when they think they talking to God, some of these niggas was really doing that, talking to these outer world intelligences that have been wiped away and now have been stuck in the heaven, right? As let's say a non-physical thing, right? Like a planet. And then their spirit, because they brought their spirit into the earth, right? They are now locked here. That's why we still talking about Zeus. That's why we still talking about Saturn. That's why we still talking about Hecate. That's why we still talking about Isis and these people, because they gave up their physical stations. And once that happened, they became wandering stars. That's what all these things are. Fallen beings who exist in a non-physical state anymore and could not reconnect themselves. We start off with all three in one. So you see our perspective on everything. They need us to exist. So they have to get and inspire people to create rituals, create books, create things to help reincarnate them here, because they can't create nothing new because they're dead.
That's right.
What new thing is Zeus going to create? Nothing. What new thing is Lucifer going to create? Nothing, because they're dead. They don't, and evil can't do nothing good. So they need good people to become evil, to take what was good to make evil. Therefore, when Yeshua came, they received him not, right? Then he's out of here. Then 3 days later, the story comes, he's woken up. But Yeshua wasn't a Christian. Yeshua was a Hebrew.
That's right.
And he was a part of another organization called the Essenes or the Nazarenes, right? Which is a rite of ancient high priests of Anu. So he was a Moor in that way. And then in that, he then transfigurates according to the story, come back and then bounce. Then within from the time that he went 33 to 70 AD, you get basically the rise of the people who would eventually come in his name and destroy Rome. and then set up what eventually became the Moorish Empire. Right? That's why when you see images of go look at the old pictures of Jesus and the three wise men and all of that. Then go look at pictures of Moors in Granada and all that. It's the same people. You understand? Because it's a people that came at a time that reunified everything to such a degree that once it ended, it was like it almost never happened, and everything fell into ruin. And from that point on, people that look like us all around the world were now the target of these new people who came, and now we're using this new religion that had already been fulfilled. You already came, the kingdom was fulfilled, the 1,000-year reign had already done, the Antichrist had been slain. Wasn't Nero killed? Wasn't Caligula killed? Wasn't Maximus killed? Right? All of this shit happens. Excuse me. All of this stuff happens. They just the temple is destroyed. The second temple is razed to the ground, to the point where that was the phenotypical end or the proverbial end of even the Hebrew thing. Because it had been fulfilled, because the so-called Mashiach had came back, shut it all down, right? And showed you the preview. Didn't they say he came in before and came in the temple and screamed on everybody and messed up the table, right? He was letting you know this is all gonna go, because this is all you niggas like. It's money and power and all of this, and it has nothing to do with what we about.
That's right.
And so right after that, by 70 AD, Nero and them, they all dead. Tactius say he see the skies open up and all of this stuff happen. And next thing you know, Rome is in the ground. Mount Vesuvius has blown up. Pompeii gone, right? All of these things is just gone. We just start coming through and wiping out everything, taking over. So that way by the 7th century now, what we perceive as Christianity has already now gotten to a point where it has now waned. Because Rome was split into two. The West was over here. So they were more like on the Greek side, Macedonian side, Ethiopian side, and then the Latin speakers in the Eastern Roman Empire, excuse me, the Western Roman, in the Western Roman Empire, they were still under the jurisdiction of our people and all that. So they had no titles, they had no time, they had to wait in darkness in what they call the Dark Ages. During that period, we thrived and rehabilitated the entire world. That's a fact. These are facts that happened. This is Black history, if you want to say. This is how we did
it. On that point, on that note, what's so interesting, because a lot of things is going on, and we know that the last legal name was the Moors, but
right, in power,
right. Now, if people are using this new words like FBA and all that, what do you think? How can they get anything legally done if they're using that or going through that? I don't understand that whole new. What do you feel from your perspective?
I'm for any melanated individual who accepts the fact that we as original people have been here from time immemorial, and we ain't never came here on no slave shit.
Right.
So anybody, whether you ADOS, FBA, whatever, so long as you on that, I'm with you.
Right.
Where you lose me is where you lost me with Jesse Jackson, because Jesse Jackson started the Rainbow Coalition, right?
Exactly.
But the Rainbow Coalition was set up for so-called American Indian, i.e. Moorish forest culture clans, like who you're calling the Cherokee, who are really the Ananawiya or the Choctalagi or the Tasalagi. The Haudenosaunee, the Chata, these types of individuals. That's what the Rainbow Coalition was about. And he, through his so-called Cherokee nationality and the fact he's also a Shriner, and the fact he's also a Prince Hall, and the fact he's also an FBI informant, right? He is the one who was tapped by them to skirt everybody, to turn the Rainbow Coalition away from the American so-called Indian, i.e. Black American indigenous right movement, right? And turn it into, this is a movement for immigrants, for the Chinese, for the gays, for all these people. And then the gays then took the rainbow right? And then made that they thing, but they inverted it. They put the desire being on the
On top.
outside at the top.
Exactly. Yep.
And inverted the vibration in the bottom, so they was letting you know. And he was the one who came up with the African American thing to do that. African American, which is a trademark term, is patented as a food copyright. So when they talk about our people being used as food and all of that, it's literal, because when you identify with that, that's what you're qualifying yourself. And people like Charles M. Young, allegedly the trademark owner for the term African American, receives compensation behind that through the copyright thing. So just like Tupac's estate is owned by a white man named Tom Wheely, his entire estate,
Dang.
right? And nobody doing nothing about it, is the same way they do it. Same thing with the term FBA. That was trademarked allegedly by this guy who we all know from Hidden Colors.
Right.
But when we was doing Hidden Colors, and what made that attractive to us, again, was the selling point. The Moor's head, the Hebrew Corsican Moor's head on the cover, and the whole first two DVDs was about the destruction of the Moorish Empire.
That's right.
Then we started getting in, and it was like, okay, we done sunk them in with the truth. Now we're going to start to hit them with the UAP. Then we start getting into all of the Negro black color thing, all to get you to understand. We want you to understand the individual understanding of Moors as indigenous to the Americas, right? Being, and Indians being misnomered Moors, and then Indians who were misnomer Moors are now being misnomered non-reservation Indians called Negroes. All of this falls under the Indian Rights Act. They renamed it during Civil Rights from the Indian Rights Act to the Civil Rights Act, and then again opened it up for the gays to be minorities, for the Jews to be minorities, for the Italians and everybody else to now receive SNAP benefits and all of that, while at the same time then creating legislation to criminalize the melanated people for taking advantage of it. And so that's how they were to establish it. So your boy who trademarked FBA, when you use that term to describe yourself, we have to wonder if he's going to share the spoils of the trademark with everybody that's alluding to be a part of that trademark movement.
Yeah, because I was kind of confused. I understand people claiming the hip hop history and all that, and the stuff that we've done, that people have done in the Americas, the greater Americas, other than the Caribbean Americas and all that. But I didn't understand that whole name with the FBA. If it's not still, you're taking us back to black,
right?
You know what I'm saying? We're
taking you back to a colorable nationality. That's the point, because that's how they wanted. That's how they're used to dealing with you. And it's not even so much the so-called white man anymore. It's your own people, because once people like Noble Drew Ali came and said that, hey, I removed the veils from all the secret societies, that means all the secrets was done. So you still joining stuff that everybody know now. And the stuff that people don't know is usually the stuff you don't want them to know. So it ain't good no way. So in that, you're still trying to calm people that they need to be a part of something that basically you can go down to Barnes and Nobles and get a book and get all the science on it. But the problem is with Moors is you can't trademark Moors. You can't trademark or copyright Moors as a people, as an identity, the way you can a non-descriptive thing like FBA, ADOS, African American, this and that, because this term, what we are, predates all of that. And it is relevant still to a time when your people, our people, were at the crest of our power. And thus the benefits and as the beneficiaries of that power today, we have the ability to partake in that in a manner that allows everybody to eat. The problem is you got too many people who have been telling you the opposite of all of this because it benefits them. See what I'm saying? To keep you in a state of looking to them for a perpetual answer that they can never give you, because the answer really comes into you going back within yourself and declaring what you are which then automatically says what you're not.
Right.
So if I say I'm saying I'm an American Indian. I'm saying I'm an Egyptian. I'm ancient Egyptian. I'm an ancient Mauritanian. I'm an ancient this, ancient that. When I say that all of that's in one. You see what I'm saying? What undoes that is me. If I'm not holding myself to that standard, if I'm not striving to practice the principles of what it means to understand that as a cultural heritage. Because things like honor, chivalry, not masonry chivalry, but like being good to women and all of this other type stuff, being on honesty, all of these things are not taught to children as real viable lifestyle options. They want children to think that you can't be a nice person because you will be taken advantage of, which is true. But to deny the child the ability to be a child, i.e. to be nice, i.e. to be stupid, to not have to look at everybody as a threat. You see what I'm saying? This is how they want everybody to be, and that's not normal. That is an order out of chaos situation created by the same people creating all these different nomenclatures to get you to 3-card money your identity and hope you don't crap out. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Hey, somebody just asked a question. They said, I said Chief Top Cat shouted you out and the Queen out with much respect. Would you like to, would like to see you do a build y'all together, because y'all both of y'all, they say y'all have the same born day too, which is crazy. All right.
Really?
I think y'all,
really?
you and Chief Top Cat.
I heard of that guy.
Have you ever talked about the brother? Have you ever met the brother?
Yeah, I heard of that guy. He did a video trying to like low key diss me or whatever, but you know, it's all good.
I didn't know that.
It's all good. You know, I did a video about our trip to Montezuma's castle,
right?
And I guess it struck the dude in the wrong way. But the thing about it is, the video that I posted on us there was over 7 years, almost 10 years old. So it's like you were commenting on something in real time that had already been done. But my thing is,
I'm sorry to hear that. What do you feel about a lot of the stuff that is coming out now? The question I want to ask, I know the history go back, a lot of finding of bones go back over 300,000 years over here. What was the language that we were speaking with? Because we know Dr. Khalid used to teach us that they took away our language, our forays, our mores. What language was the original natives of America speaking over here 300,000 years ago?
One of the oldest languages that they can find here is the phenotypical script, you know. Mm-hmm. However, they found older script in places like Kerala Supe.
Okay.
As well as in places like amongst the people called the Chaco people. There's a book everybody should get about those people, those Moors called the Chaco. There's a great one called Chaco Astronomy on them that gets into that. We had, I think, a lot of different types of languages, you know what I mean? Like when you speak of the Algonquin, and when you speak of the Haudenosaunee and the Sioux, people tend to ascribe those as tribes or peoples, but they were more dialects that peoples amongst that group would speak. The same way, like you'll have people from Panama and people from Colombia,
right?
And they'll speak almost pristine Spanish.
Yeah, like, and Cuba.
Excuse me, Cuba. Right.
Cuba has pristine
that's what I
Spanish.
meant.
That's what my grandfather
Cuba,
lived from. Yeah, Cuba,
and the Cubano and the Panamanian, they have the best Spanish, I think, in the world.
Yeah, you know, no, my aunt used to say that. Yeah, my Cuban aunt, she used to say that.
World.
They teach you that. They teach you the precision and the dialect from a very perfected type.
Because they're speaking old Spanish, old Castilian Spanish, which is really what they really is Andalusian, which is the pre-Castilian Roman Spanish that they try to institute off of that. Because at one point the Moors were speaking a form of Arabic and Spanish in the same dialect. Like when we use English, we're using a bunch of different words from different countries
Right.
but it's put in English form. So it was the same thing back then, because back then the Moors would have different kingdoms in which language, for instance, was more like a delicacy. So they would create different languages that they could speak that would unlock their trade routes in different corners of the world, which then led to those people adopting that, and that became the form of commerce that they would use. That's how Latin came out. That's how we was doing it in the Algarve, in a place called Galicia. There was a Moorish people called the Burgundians and the Gaetulians. These types of high aristocratic type Moors. Speech and language was definitely a thing. Over here, it was also Mograban, ancient phonetic. Like I said, the Spicta Corrales Upe, the Chacos. So it wasn't like one dialect, but it would be depending on what region, kingdom, or dominion you're in. But then you would have, let's say, Greater Phoenician, which would eventually evolve into the Romance Latin, and then out of the Romance Latin, then we get into the Spanish, the French, the German, the this. You see what I'm saying? So it's subdivisional because it's one people that are assuming different identities and then taking up different realms and then literally customarily changing how they are. That's how you could go from being a Moorish Andalusian to being a French Huguenot. See what I'm saying? They're both Moors. It's just that the Huguenot now is living post the fall of Granada and now has adopted more of the French thing, but his nationality is still Moorish.
Right. I'm noticing that even in Jamaica, in the maroon towns, they're claiming his Moorish identity more.
Right.
And I've been trying to get in contact with him so I could interview him, Richard.
That's right. It would be great.
I'm trying to get, because so all of the Americas had this similar language and connection then from north all the way down to the Caribbeans then, huh?
Yeah, there's a book you can get called Primitive African Nations by a dude named, I forget his first name, but his last name is Rafinesque. And when you read this book, it basically talks about the Locono Confederacy that existed in what we call the Antilles. We never called it the Caribbean.
The Antilles, that's what it was called. They had a radio show called the Antilles Radio. Yes, I remember that.
See?
Yo, and it was an AM radio that we could hear all the way to America, to Germany, to all over the place. It was a radio frequency. Antilles, yes.
Because the story goes, after King Roderick, who was a Visigoth, which means that he was a pagan melanated Roman who was living as a Reformed Christian. When he failed, the Moors wound up invading because he raped somebody. He raped his man, who was also like him, sent his daughter to stay with him. He raped his man's daughter. Right, got her pregnant, then kicked her out and didn't want to take care of the baby. So his man at this point is fed up with him, but he's his subordinate. So he sends a word to Musa, who is the general, that now is the time. If y'all want to take the whole thing back, y'all could do it. So he bet. So he sent Tariq and Tarifa, and they go across the Straits of Hercules, right, into España, and basically run Roderick out of there. Roderick get ran out. He jump on ships, take his gold with him, and then he winds up sailing to the Antilles. In the Antilles, he winds up getting off and then winds up meeting Moors there too. So they wind up taking him, taking all his gold, and then they spread it out according to, there's a book called Time Walker that goes into this. And spread it out to the other peoples in the Antilles. And then they formed a confederation called the Locono Federation. And in that was a two-clan moiety. Just like you had the Moors, where it's a two-clan moiety. We got the Eels and the Bays. You had the Locono Empire, and then you had the Arawaks and the Tainos. You see what I'm saying? The Eels and the Bays. They worked to hold everything down up until the invasion after the stronghold fell in 492, which we know as 1492, but the 1000 is fake.
They added the 1000. That's what you said. I've been watching you saying that lately. You've been saying that for years. No, you've been saying that for years, though. You haven't been saying that.
Because they practice time manipulation. Now, I've been telling people they've been working this since they started with the intergravicissimus. That's what it was called. It's called the Intergravicissimus. And it started on October 4th on a Tuesday, 1581. And then on that Friday, it was now February 4th, 1582 or whatever, or 1580, whatever, the 10 years. But they added 1,000 to each one of those 10. Wow. Subtracted 1,000 from us, added 1,000 to them. And then started the reconstructional history from that point on, which is why you only know about the Moorish Empire from a certain aspect. But now that the Pope is dead, all of this, we got to wait for one more. This is going to be the last one. So the question is if it's going to be Turkson, who is the African bishop.
That's what I'm thinking.
The African, his name is Turkson. Think about that. The son of the Turks, son of the Moors.
Yeah, Turkson, yeah.
So they try to make him the last. If they make him the last one, then what happens is, but also remember, he was the understudy to the black pope before this nigga. This dude, before the last black pope, there was a dude named Hans von Kovenbach. And he had an understudy. His understudy was the African Turkson. So that's the only reason why I think they would make him the next pope, to close the whole thing out. Because it started with an original man, so it got to end with the original man. Remember, it started with the death of an original man in terms of them adopting Christianity. Because remember, the Roman Catholic Church, or the Church of Rome, is 200 years older than Yeshua.
And he's from Ghana. He's from Ghana.
See?
From Ghana. Peter.
You know they love Ghana. Love Ghana.
Peter Turkson, and Peter means
do whatever.
Peter Turkson, and that means the rock. The rock that is the son of a Turk.
Right.
That would be
the Lord, right? So they tying you up in the timeline to break the thing before we reach the point of entropy. So that's how it's gonna work. So if they get him in, I think though they're gonna go the opposite. They're gonna try to go out with an Italian white boy. Or even a Ukrainian. They might try to flip it like that. But whoever he is, he might not be a full dude. He might be a trans or something, because they just did a movie called Conclave. And at the end of that movie, we find out that the new pope that took the place of the old pope was a trans. So they might be trying to flip that, because that's a ritual of power in the Saturnian Luciferian societies, that the first lady or the first person who is head of the nation is always, because remember, all of life is a stage, and all the original stage hands, all the original actors, were always played, whether man or woman, played by a man, right?
That's right.
So this is their culture. So they following through with the culture of the Areopagite. That's what they call it. The Areopagite, because they were the sons of Areopagus, the first castrated god that gave birth without a woman to another fake god called Attis. And then they created a whole system to worship the castrated god under that. And all of that got shut down once Yeshua shut down all other stuff. So,
and let me say something. Big up to Bedell. Bedell is in the audience. Gratitude. He's saying gratitude to the master teacher at Aseer. Salute to Uncle Simon. Yeah, it's brother family. Somebody asked a very interesting question, real quick. You know, how the family doing? They all right?
Very well.
All right. Tell them I said my greetings. All right. Can you ask, is Trump attempting to unite the Americas like he's doing with Canada and America? What is he trying to do with that? What do you think about that with Trump?
He is a Freemason that functions from the original so-called American Compact, which makes him a little different than all the rest of them. So what that means is that he is more coming from, there's two factions. There's the Brotherhood of Death, and there's the Brotherhood of Eagles. A lot of them don't know which one they be in.
Right.
Some of them do. But in the Brotherhood of Eagles, that's where Trump is at. The eagle is symbolic to the scorpion when it comes to metaphysical symbology. Scorpion is also symbolic of water, but is cousin to the beetle. So it's always about resurrection with them. Right. So Trump is a manifestation of the system creating an avatar for it to see its own destruction firsthand. Like if Barack Obama was doing what this dude is doing, he'd have been out of here. But Obama was down with it all the way. He's down with it all the way. He's with the pizza part. He's with it all.
You've been teaching that for years. You've been teaching that for years. I can admit that. Yep.
And so when his chef wound up dead, when I was telling people way back in 2009, like this dude got a penchant, bodies be turning up around him. This still happened. Nobody bat an eye. Nobody even looking into that. Nobody was talking about the bruises on his knuckles and his hands right after that, right? Just went silent. So they all down with it, is what I'm saying. And in that, though, everybody is related except him. Everybody that they call president is related to everybody else that's so-called prime minister and so forth and so on. Everybody except him. So that exception, that omission shows me that there was some sort of precognitive plan to somewhat sequester this dude, to have him around stuff, but to sequester him in a manner that he would know everybody, that he would be able to be cool with everybody, but at the same time, nobody really know how he really feel about them. Nobody can really say they know what Trump thinks. So that alone should let you know. If you think, and then remember, this is the same guy who paid for Rosa Parks, who paid for Jesse Jackson, who paid for to get the commission to find out that the Siberian Indians was fake, who paid for the lodging for for two other homeless black women that they've been staying in Trump Tower since he built it basically for free. He paid for all of them jobs that got all of them black people to work in Atlantic City and all of that. And again, this is not, I'm talking as somebody, as an observer. Because we grew up with this thing. We grew up with him in New York.
That's right.
So they could say what they want, but you can't market this thing in the way that you did and then on a dime make me hate him. Because then I know there's something about him that's not jiving with what I want to do. And what that is he don't like being told what to do. He don't like people telling him what to do, wrong or right. So what that tells me is if Klaus Schwab is trying to tell this nigga we need to bring more bugs into your country and shut down the farms, he's going to find a way to get Charles Schwab out of here. And guess what? Charles Schwab is out of here. So that means the head of the WEF is out of here. Okay? That's big. You don't understand how big this is. Shit like that is. And they set him up for a honeypot play. So if he come out try to do something else, they might try to hit him on a standing sharp rape charge. Not only that, he slapped 245% tariffs on these people. What people don't understand is he is using Moorish law. He's using post-Grenadian Barbary Moorish law, not African law, not French law, not Admiralty law. He's using Moorish law. When you hear tariffs, that is because that's coming from a Moor, a flesh and blood man who lived life in reality, who created a system to make sure our people always got paid, always, regardless to who else they was paying. That's why we fell, because we put so many tariffs on these people that they couldn't do nothing else but fight. After they started to sell us they white women, they started to sell us they serfs, they had nothing else to sell. They started to even sell themselves.
And when you look up that word tariff, it's saying has a rich history tracing back to Arabic and Persia.
The Moors, right? Because they don't want to call
Moors.
it the Moorish Empire. So they'll
Yes.
call it the Islamic Empire. They'll
Right.
call it the Arab Empire. See what I'm saying?
So
But
you
to
mean
call it-
so because they do that, that means the edict is still going on, that they're not supposed to
Yes.
mention the word more, right?
Yes, that means we are protected. We are protected by the surrender of Granada. I urge
Right.
people to read it. That's
Right.
the pre-treaty to all treaties.
Wow.
So after the Intergravicissimus, after the Intercatera, after the Dum Diversis, after the Unum Sanctum, after the actual invasion, right, that started to actually take place. By the time of the so-called Black Coat, like, we still were in amity. They still owed us. So what they had to do was create a culture by which we would fall to ourselves, because that's what happened. Yes. And then by the 1900s, they created a reconstructive culture in which they would create they would take romantic license. This is a real term, romantic license and artistic license to Romanize or Anglicize any true historical figure. That's why when you look at TV shows of Charles V, he looked like Dustin Hoffman. But when you look at real pictures of Charles V, he looked like Shaft. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is how we are. We were the last ones on file kicking Rome's behind. We are the ones that helped initiate the millennial reign and kingdom of the one you call Yeshua. That's why you have so many people after the fall, after the invasion of the 1900s, right? That's why you have so many of our people that was still Christian, because they existed in the millennial reign. They was around for the flying cars and all that type of shit, and the giant bells and the smells of incense and no death and none of that shit for hundreds of years. And then one day it's gone. Wow. Then what happened? These people out of nowhere come in, and now they have images of themselves as Yeshua, and they are now the real Christians because they're practicing Christianity. Right. Christ being the divine nature of man, Eanity meaning the lack of substance. And now these original Nestorian Christians, Moorish Muslims, Moorish whatever, they now are be swarmed by all of these people who are now forcing them by the sword being hung to now accept this new identity as the bottom of the earth, because now they have remade. It was now the devil's time to reign, and those who was the God in the last reign become the devil in the new. And then from that point on, we are now fractured. We're Negroes, we're Indians, we're displaced, we stateless, we Baptists, we Methodists, we all this other stuff.
Mercy. I see. I got one more question, brother. My goodness. Man, first of all, let me big up y'all websites, because I got to make sure Cordova Organics is doing well. Selena, I know she's hard at work. She got like 100 products, so big up to Selena.
84, 85 and counting.
Yeah, I know she's up there, man. They're good products. It helped with my hair growth. I got a haircut, but it helped with my hair growth. Big up to Selena's products.
That's right, man.
Yeah. Her products and Botana oil. I use hers and Botana oil, and they've been helping my hair growth. I got long hair. I'm going to braid it. I might braid it or lock it. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Excellent. You know how good that is?
Yeah, it is.
You still got a full head of hair.
Yeah, no bald spot. I said.
That's right.
That's
good living. That's good living, because you know what my grandmother used to say? She used to say, evil women don't grow hair. So evil people can't grow hair. So next time you see somebody can't grow hair, peep their character.
That's right. That's
real.
Also, I got to big up your site, aseerthedukeoftears.com. Please support him. And don't forget his Cash App. His Cash App is up there. That's $DS418. Go get his book also. And those that those that are across the sea. Those that are across the sea, please use the PayPal.
You can check it out.
This book is powerful. Let's show that. Throw that book up in the front.
Dangerous comic book novel is great. Matter of fact, somebody told me that they saw Sinners, and they said they feel like they took the whole section of that from a section in my book about this old juke joint and all of that. I'm gonna see it tonight, and I'm gonna see for myself.
Are you seeing it tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna see. I ain't paying for that though.
Oh, I know that guy. You need to send me the link. Stop
Yeah,
playing.
I'll send you the link.
Yo,
Word,
cause I want to see it. But yo,
word.
one more question, man, because I've been trying to drop and give, send your information, send
Thank you.
certain people's information to the elders again, because I think they're focusing so much on Africa that
Yeah,
they're forgetting where they come from. Because Professor Smalls come from South
yeah,
Carolina, Geechee Gullah, and all of that, Ashra Kwesi, but they still going there and not
yeah,
realizing. I'm trying to
yeah.
tell them. I'm trying to not say it straight up. I'm trying to say, yo, could y'all at least come back home and find out what's going on here, not just in Africa? Why you think that's hard for them to do, brother? Why you think that's hard?
Because they were raised in a post-broken black male era. They were
Mm,
raised at a time where they watched everybody that was somebody to them be murdered, and we don't understand. Well, our generation understand that via the gangster rap prisoner pipeline shit that we came up with, but they was different because they actually believed in what they were actually doing. And
right.
so many of the Pan-Africanists turn out to be government agents like Barashango, you know what I mean,
Mm.
who created Kwanzaa, who was a maniac in
You
real
talking
life.
about Mulana
Karenga,
Karenga,
excuse me.
Karenga, not
Karenga,
Barashango.
not Barashango, my fault.
Karenga, yeah, Karenga.
My
Woo.
fault. But Barashango was in the Boule, so you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
At the
Okay.
same time, so I can't, you know what I mean. As
Right.
much as I can laud them, I can also look at the opposite side too. And thus, because they were born at that period, Pan-Africanism became the cultural identity and almost an escapism that would allow them to create their own version of what they would see as a black kingdom in real time. But the problem is, Africa itself is not a vacuum. Africa itself is in some ways worse shape than we are.
Mm.
Africa right now is suffering about 5 different genocides, one going on in Sudan, one going on in Yemen, one going on in DR, one going on in northern Sudan, another going on in Nigeria. Nigeria is basically about to be overrun by a Sunni Muslim Boko Haram, aka CIA run state. These are facts. You understand?
Oh,
Libya is a slave state that was initiated and totally created by Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, Paul Wolfowitz, and all of them to
wow.
follow behind a thing they created called the Plan for a New American Century, which was a reworked plan that was actually handed to them and spoken to the Congress of the United States by its orchestrator, a dude named Benjamin Netanyahu. And in
Wow.
that plan, he told them that they need to get rid of 7 nations, that it's not enough to fight Hezbollah or Hamas as individuals. You have to get rid of the nations that support them. And so far, out of all of those nations, the only one left is Iran. And so right now, if you got $600, you can go and basically buy a black man and black woman in Libya. Nobody's talking about doing anything about that, but everybody's talking about going to Ghana and setting up Akon cities and all this other type of stuff. So that's why, me personally, I don't believe nothing when it comes to them and what they're doing. I have certain people from different parts of Africa. Big up to my brother Guy in Cameroon. Big up to my brother Olu in Ghana, my brother Ernest in Ghana, and those types of people as individuals. But what I'm seeing as a long-term situation, they are basically trying to recreate what they feel they can't create here,
Right.
or they are being paid to constantly promote and move the football. So when you run and kick it, Lucy, they just moving it out and making you believe that, oh well, keep going to Africa, keep going to Africa. Because God forbid anything happen to us here, they all could leave. And that's
Mm.
what it seemed like they want. However, everybody else is trying to get in here.
That's
So
right.
so if you are falling for the banana in the tailpipe to believe that people who look like you are going to give you the same state as, or the devil that you don't know is going to treat you better than the devil that you do, then
Mhm.
something's wrong with you. You looking to escape. You looking to identify with a group of people to accept you when you should create an institution for your own people to accept you in your own house. Because believe it or not, they don't see you as the black brother. They don't see you as the black sister. They see you as the American with the money. Period. Sorry.
Mm.
Sorry, not sorry. That's real. Because when they come over here, that's how they treat us. So They'll say we don't have a culture, but then at the same time and emulate our culture to the point they come here and play us in all of the TV shows and the movies and stuff. So what I'm seeing again is this need for us to disassociate ourselves from the ancient identity that we've had here and the ancient influence that we continue to have in the world, where everybody in the world comes here to be around us, make money off of us, see what we're doing, create new music, create art, technology, anything off of us. But then we're supposed to go over there and what, pay them to be a part of something that they allegedly kicked us out from? What we need to be asking is, how come the African DNA test only tests to see if we connected to them, but there's no DNA test for them to see which so-called American Indian or Moorish tribe they connected to over here? You know why? Because there is none like that. Because they are their own people, we are our own people, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't go to people in Brazil and tell them that they need to get their African heritage on and move back to Africa, because no, you see them as Brazilians. The only people who have that game run on us by our own people are these people who may or may not be part of other clandestine organizations that benefit from this perpetual ignorance of making us feel like we are foreigners in our own home.
Right. Did we trade with them in ancient times? Did we trade with each other?
We named it. The term Africa is a Latin word.
It's Latin,
and Latin speakers were those Carthaginian Phoenicians. So we named it that.
Wow.
That place is actually, according to their native tongue, Alkebulan. So how come they ain't calling it that? How come they ain't Alkebulanians? No, y'all want to use the term Africa. Why? Because that was the term, again, that linked y'all with us over here. Because we named it. Because there are no Latin speakers over there. Are there? No. But there are African speakers here. Prince Uriel Bey. I know another Moor, Wolf Bey. I know a lot of Moors that speak pure Latin right now. Fluently well.
Right.
So we're the only ones speaking the ancient languages of these people, and the name that you name your place after is from our language. Then that means then that what we think happened may be the opposite.
They flipped it.
Exactly.
Somebody asked if there are any Masonic temples in Africa.
Yeah. There's more churches though.
That's what
There's more churches than anything, bro. I just watched the Hebrew Israelite.
Yes.
He was reading from the Bible about how Jesus was black and them Africans almost killed him. You Negroes is constantly trying to run back to so-called Africa and you never been. Your great-great-grandmother, unless you know she directly came from the continent, and if she did, she didn't come from no damn slave ship, because there's no slave ships that exist that you can prove even existed. What we do have, though, is records. What we do have is monoliths. What we do have is petroglyphs and everything else that says that those people wore feathers and turbans and from ancient times to now, and they are the only people on earth right now who are receiving the same hell in whatever country we in. So if you in Mexico and you look like this, if you in France and you look like this, especially if you an indigenous French person, an indigenous Mexican, an indigenous Brooklynite or whatever, or West Papua New Guinea or Yemenite or whatever you are, you receiving the same type of racism stuff coming from your own people that we are here. And that's because we all related and we all come from the same vine and fig tree. What's separating us now is the fact of lack of knowledge of self and lack of national identity. However, we as Moors and Moorish Americans, or no matter what type of Moor you are, M-U-U-R Moors, M-O-O-R Moors, M-U-I-R Moors, M-O-H-R Moors, M-O-A-I-O-R Moors, whatever it is, they know that the longer you don't mess with it, the longer they can stay in power. That's why right now in España, in Spain, over there, they dressing up like you. They dressing up in the turbans. They dressing up with the feathers. They have been celebrating your expulsion from the time that you was expelled to now. To now. They dressing up like you as a Moor, all of that to now. To now. Right? So what does that mean? That means that they still revere you. That means that you leaving, this is them trying to remind you, you're conquerors. The people who wind up taking your place is now dressing up like you every year for 200 years, 200 plus years, to remind you that this used to be yours. And what do you want to do? You want to go and be what Alex Haley and these niggas told you are. And that's the problem. That's why we're disjointed. So the only way out is the way in. Education, reunification of the family, group to group economics, and allowing Moors, allowing individuals to come into the knowledge how they may come into it. Learning to love instead of hate.
And this is some of the misnomer too. Africa was named after Scipio Africanus.
More lies. Who is that?
Again, that's why I just told him he got to go deeper now. You can't stay on the surface.
Even not to cut your wisdom, even
when
you research Leonis Africanus, this is not a white man. There's no white Romans up until the late 19th, 18th, 19th century. These are not the people you think is wrong. They're not them. These is melanated people. These are paganistic, melanated people who eventually morphed into those non-Hebrew tribes. All non-Hebrew tribes are referred to as Gentiles. The Gentiles in modern times came to be known as gentlemen, right? And these gentlemen came to be known as free, and merged the gentleman thing with the Freemason thing, because the Freemason thing can trace itself all the way back to the Pharisees, the Sadducees, Solomon, Hiram, right? Which is Phoenicia, which is Tyre, which is the Moors, right? But it also brings you to the element of its reunification and realteration under people like Pike, under people like Duncan, under people like Thornton Jackson, under people like Mackey, under people like Eliphas Levy. And these people then reshaped it to where they could be God in it. And they concealed the true hidden God as Amen, right? That's why they do the ritual in which the white boys go get the bum off the street. The dirtier, the crazier, the better. And they bring him into the most luscious, most poshest throne room that you could imagine. Put him on the throne, blindfolded. And they say, this is your father. You got to always keep him down. Trading
places.
Yes, that's what it is. That's where you think they got it from. Showing you in plain face, showing you. Right?
Yo, that's it. You know, I know, I already said it was the last question, but something else I gotta say. I gotta say this because this. Yo, you be going in, and this is not something that this brother haven't been doing ever since I met him, sir. Gotta let y'all know. Let me big up the website again. I gotta shout out his website because y'all need to go support. If you want to buy the books, if they can is the books getting? I'm realizing my books they're charging more over Amazon. I guess because of the tariff or something going on. Can your books get?
They not on Amazon. You can just go to www.aseertheducateers.com. They got one on Amazon. And that's from the original run we started back in 2013. And they trying to sell that for like $1,000 or something.
Are you sending it through your website to England too?
Yeah, it all goes to me. I don't even deal with the Amazon like that.
Okay, good. So family that wants his book, somebody asks about your book.
It's gonna come directly to you from me, signed with a drawing. And
great packaging. Great packaging.
Yes,
I got some great packaging.
I love packaging. Word.
Very great packaging. Oh man, both of them when they send their products, great packaging from Cordoba, great packaging from Aseer.com. Believe me. But you could also, if you live outside of the United States, family, use PayPal. You can use PayPal.
You can use PayPal. You can check it out.
Right. Cash App you can use here.
Yeah, but Cash App anything that you have. I greatly appreciate it. I'm working on the set. I'm trying to finish 7 books by the end of this cycle. So I'm halfway through. So I'm gonna have all of them, and I'm gonna strive to do a online promotional like movie for each one. Everybody get that.
You remember you used to take people around the city to show them the different Moor stuff.
Yes, you remember more? Yeah, I used to do
all of that stuff.
tours.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was doing the Tatarian building tours back before people was even talking about tartary.
That's
I got
right.
a joint now, a classic called I used to have called Hidden Morris Lectures, Hidden Morris Castles in Brooklyn.
Yep, in
And
Brooklyn. Yep.
yeah, I was doing the museum tour to the point they tried to shut us down. They tried to shut me down from going to the big one with the lions.
Yeah.
The one by Cleopatra's Needle. Because I was
Cleopatra's
showing and
Needle.
proving how all that shit been talking about bringing it over here was fake. That shit was already here.
Yes, yes. You know, thank you very much, Divinity Warrior. But also make sure you support that brother Aseer on his website and his Cash App over there
Thank you. I
too.
appreciate you,
Please
y'all.
support.
I do.
Thank you for supporting me. But and I'm gonna keep you, brother. It's 9:45. And if I want to thank you so much for coming on and
Thank
on
you,
Tuesday.
bro.
Today's Tuesday, man. Tuesdays are today's consciousness. And last question, going out of here, you can land your plane anywhere you want. What is the legacy that Aseer wants to leave before he gets off of this planet, brother? Please talk to the people.
That's a good one. I want to be first and foremost be regarded as a good father.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If anything, and as far as all of the other work,
Right.
how's
your daughter, by the way? How's your daughter? Because I know you was
great,
going
man. She's
through
about to be
back in the day.
23 tomorrow.
Oh,
Her birthday is on the 23rd tomorrow. So
yeah, yeah,
definitely honest to her and honest to all of the Taurus and Aries for
yeah.
New Year, Happy True Year.
I
But
know
yeah,
y'all
man,
was.
if I
I
could
know
do
you was
that,
going through it. I know you was going through it years ago with
yeah,
her
for
back in the
years.
day.
That's what I'm
I
saying, man.
I
And
love
through
it.
all of that,
Yes. Yeah.
it helped propel me to where I'm at, and I used that pain and stuff I was going through to strive to help as many other brothers that was going through that at the time
Yes.
to create solutions that actually worked. Where we was getting people's child support done away with, getting perjury charges on the judges and things like that were pursuing that. And now I'm starting to hear a lot more about that type of reform.
Right.
And I'm glad that I did join back in the days, Fallacy of Family Court Revisited, Volume 1 and 2, because that's what allowed me to also keep my sanity at the time when I was being purposely targeted and kept from my children. You know what I'm saying? Well, however, Allah is the most merciful, and I was able to reconnect with both of them, as well as with my youngest, Amor. And I've been working to, re-heal and reconnect with them ever since, praise Allah. And now that they're older, a lot of them are seeing, they see for themselves what was going down. And believe it or not, coming across different people who knew the work I was doing, who would low-key put a shout out there for me to them.
Yes.
So again, man, everybody who knows the pain of being ripped from your children and being brought up on trumped up charges and family court stuff that had nothing to do with you raising a child, like that was a very heavy moment for me, and that ushered me into adult fatherhood, in a way that I don't think no other situation did. But what it did do was create a circumstance by which could bring about greater healing for everybody. So, if I could be remembered for something, I would love to be remembered my children as a good father, my wife as a good husband, and my community as somebody that kept it as real as possible without asking you for nothing, really. You know what I'm saying? Because everything you see me and Selena have done, we basically have done that alone.
Alone. Yes.
So
I'm proud of both of you, man. Love both of you, man. Thank you very much for supporting me so many years and being a part of this journey that I've been on since I came back. And man, we're gonna keep on doing what we gotta do, man.
We the elders now, man. Like I said.
Yeah, we the elders. We the elders now, man.
So we gotta represent and not be like these modern elders where the grandmas out here trying to get with the YNs and all of that. Like I see why they don't listen to the elders no more, because the elders trying to get the same man and the same woman they trying to get at their age. So we gotta create a bridge in that gap and show that no, there are elders and there are people who still got wisdom, who's still about the community, who's still about keeping it real with you, who not trying to have sex with you, not trying to take advantage of you, who want you to win, who want you to have a successful life, and is not trying to exploit you for likes or views or trying to get you to join a cult. Like, we are the last barrier between that and these savages that's trying to make that the norm. So I salute you, brother, for holding down the line, and everybody else that's been tuning in and listening and supporting me or anything I've done. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Abundance Child shouting you out too. She in the chat.
Islam.
Yeah,
That's right.
Peace to the
right,
sister.
Joshua Kitchen. That's right, bro.
Joshua Kitchen.
Right.
Delicious food, bro.
Feeding the people. That's right.
Yes, that's
like
right.
I said, we the last. Well, some of the last ones left. Abundance,
we all
real. Everybody else.
We in the 50s. We in our 50s now. We ready.
Facts,
we ready,
bro.
We're
like
ready.
you know. Inshallah, we'll stay around long enough to see that great getting up morning. But until then, just know that the end is not yet. The end of the world is the end of their world, not yours. Stop giving them your mental energy to act like they're going to just destroy your life. They're going to deport you. They're going to do whatever. What's for you is always going to be for you. And this dude, the last thing he want to do is stop making money. And everybody know that the people who make the most money for and in the United States is who? The original man and woman. We are the liquid money that these niggas been using to keep this thing going. And we are the only reason why this place has not been nuked into oblivion, because we are still here. So the fact that we still here means that we are still calling the shots, albeit subconsciously. So let's get conscious, get control of our finances, get a nationality, and actually start to practice the same things that are set up for us, that's already there. They removing all of the obstacles for you. They making it so it don't matter what color, whatever you are. If you caught up in being black, then you gonna be thing. Guess what? Black ain't a color. You know what I'm saying? Moorish is a nationality. So I can't be discriminated against, because guess what? We done put in so much work. Big up to the Moors in South Carolina, in Chicago, Brother Shem L and those other Moors. They done set it up where now the government is gonna have to put Asiatic and Moorish as a designation. So we don't gotta check American Indian, white, Hispanic, right? Moorish American on the thing. No, it's coming straight to us. They ain't doing that for nobody else. So guess what? First in time, first in line. So let's get ours. And stop hating on people getting theirs, man. What's happening to them is happening because it's supposed to, because we have been invaded by these people for the past 238 years. Man, if we take it further back, we went through a wave from 1492 to 1555, from 1555 to 1619, from 1619 to 1774, from 1774 to 1812, from 1812 to 1871, from 1871 to 1913, when the calculated end of the devil's civilization was predicted. And who came about? The prophet Noble Jew Ali. So these things can say what they want, they can be whatever they want, but when it comes down to it, everybody gonna have to come back home, man.
That's right. That's right. That's
everybody gotta go under their vine and fig tree. So love you, brother.
Love you, man, all the time, and give a hug to the family, man. All right, beloved.
Well, Noble.
All right. Peace and love, man. Peace. All right. All right. That's my man, Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Let's give him a well-deserved round of applause. And let's give him some applause hands. Give them applause hands, man. Let's give him that applause. Aseer brought the fire, family. Aseer brought the fire. The Moorish fire, he brought the indigenous fire, he brought all of it. The Morenos, he brought the Mestizos, he brought Tainos, he brought all of the indigenous tribes here, man. And now that's what I'm talking about. You know, I've known him since early 2000s. I've known him from 2000. I know of him from 2000. Then we started working together around 2007, 2006. I had to fly for that too. But I've known that brother, and he has been consistent. Like I've been a consistent promoter. He has been a consistent in dropping that knowledge and wisdom. And he's also an international PhD, study of law. He's not a lawyer, but he studied the international law and got his PhD degree in that. A lot of people don't know that about him. But man, that was an awesome. And I hope y'all donate to not only my channel, but also donate to the brother right there, PayPal, if you live outside of the United States. Cash App if you live inside the United States, Cash App and PayPal if you live inside the United States. Get his books at Aseer the Duke of Tears. Get his products. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with other friends and family that are on a spiritual journey. Get his wife's products, CordobaOrganics.com, and make sure you show him some love all the time. Just want to remind everybody that I am in New York at this time, and if you want to come to the BKNY event on April the 27th, or you want to get if you want to get the live stream, I'm putting it in the chat right now. You can join me on the live stream at the Nicholas Brooklyn event on April the 27th. Tickets are available, and the live stream tickets are $20 in advance. And if you're coming to the solid event, if you're coming to the real live event at Nicholas, and then the live stream event is $11.11. So if you want to get the live stream, this is going to be a powerful event. Go to my Linktree /King Simon, the Numerator, the first tier. You're going to see all of that, the event at Nicholas, and then you'll see both tickets inside the Eventbrite. So if y'all can make it this coming Sunday, we will be in the building. Saturday, Ross Ben is going to be there Saturday at Nicholas Brooklyn. But on Sunday, I will be there with them live and direct with Mama Ella, Sister Kafunya, Nia Love, and also Unc Riser's son at Nicholas Brooklyn, 1396 Fulton Street. We're going to be there, and it's going to start at 3 o'clock. 3:33, we're going to start everything. The live stream, everything is going to start with the sound bowl, healing, and everything. It's going to be fun. Big up to Abundance Child. She started her program every Thursday. They're doing it, Abundance Child Live with John Carr, and it's happening every Thursday. So this Thursday, make sure y'all tune into her. Don't forget, tomorrow I have this sister here coming in. I have Dr. Shakira Moore coming in live and direct through the Karmic Eye, Iridology, Ancestral Memory, and Breaking the Loop, all happening. We're doing an interview tomorrow at 5 p.m. And do remember, she's promoting her new event and her new book that's coming out on her birthday, but also her new event that's happening on April the 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. Make sure y'all go there. Transform your health by understanding the liver. Big up to her and people like Yaki and all of the great ones that's been doing their thing. And if you're into martial arts, Sanuka's Way is going to be doing the Survivor's Way with the Sanuka's Jiu-Jitsu Circle of Dr. Moses Powell, May 2nd and May 3rd. Make sure you call the number on there or go to studymartialarts.com. That's studymartialarts.com. And make sure y'all support the Malcolm X event coming up. They're doing a pilgrimage. It's free to go up there on the buses, but they do ask if you want to sponsor a bus or if you want to donate, whatever you need, go contact Brother Reggie or Professor Smalls at the emails that you see on below. I'm going to be bringing them on soon. And if you do want to book a session with me, text me your full name, date of birth to 347-496-1022. Remember, everybody that book a session with me will now get a free ebook, either the volume 1 or volume 2. You might get either one of those volumes. If you come into the event, you're going to get a volume, one of the volumes, or if you're booking a session with me, you're going to get either one of these volumes of my ebook, the workbook. And a lot of people don't want to put in that work. Sebastian said he's 19 years old. He's trying to find the truth. Big up to Sebastian, young Sebastian that was just on here earlier. I want to shout him out. Yeah, Sebastian. But let me tell you this, Sebastian. I know you're looking for the truth, but make sure, this is what Sebastian said. Peace to you all. I'm only 19, just trying to figure out the truth. For real. Sebastian, just make sure you cross-reference. Don't just Google. Don't just chat GPT. Be willing to go and consult Aseer the Duke of Tears or Dr. Valentine or whoever's teaching it from the balanced perspective and understanding the world history and not just one side of history. Make sure you know the world history, what it's all about. So I'm glad you're 19. I got this knowledge at 14. And I've been moving ever since. So 19 is a good age. And I just want to make sure you find balance and you find healing and be willing to, again, cross-reference. Google can be your friend, but also Google can put misinformation. So you got to make sure you cross-reference everything that you looking at. everything that you're reading, everything that you're studying, cross-reference everything. And you can go online and find some of the oldest books and oldest ebooks and all that kind of stuff. If you can't buy the solid books, Sebastian, make sure you go ahead and go do what you got to do to really do the research, man. Don't take nothing on face value. Take nothing on face value. Do the research. Do the research. And then move with your intuition. And I try to tell that to every young person, even people that consult me. Numbers are just here to guide you and help confirm certain things. I don't want you to believe in me unless to believe in me and what I do, unless you're willing to cross-reference your own self, your own what you're doing in your time in your life and what you're willing. People can become successful at what they want to do, but sometimes things hold you back from things that you've been formatively led to believe that's been holding you back over years. And I'm not into holding people back. I want people to excel and get better. That's one thing. You can get all of my books on Amazon. Also, going back to the advertisement, get all my books on Amazon, and that's Amazon.com. Just put in my name, King Simon, not Simon King, King Simon, or go to my link tree. Also, I got my ebooks here. All you have to do is go to send the funds via paypal.me/King Simon, and those ebooks will be emailed to you immediately as soon as I see your email in the description. All right. Big up to Star from Star Report, my brother Star from Star Report, his classic book called Objective Hate. He studied objectivity from Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand was the person that founded objectivity. So make sure we go there and study as much as you can. Big up to Lloyd Strayhorn. Go to his website, lloyd-strayhorn.com. Big up to Color Curiosity. Feng Shui your life through your life and wardrobe through a color specialist like her. And make sure you go to Ra_Life Defense, Professor Zahalia. Hit her up for consultation and all of that. If you got skin problems and you want some great products with CBD oil and all that kind of stuff, make sure you hit up Elizabeth. The number is right there, and leave a voicemail, and she will contact you within 24 to 72 hours. And also, big up to Adara Moselle. Hit her up also if you want to get negative energy removal, you want energy work. Whether it's on Zoom or whether it's live on her table, she's very good at what she do. And big up to my brother, my son and old brother, JB Services and Metro Atlanta and the surrounding area, car detailing, pressure wash, dumpster wash, and he's also a handyman. And my other son, who I had the chance to sit down and enjoy today as he came over, Prince Imagine, go to his Green Studio NYC and go and support. He could teach you and help you with your podcast, your recording, your event productions, artist development. This is a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. All right. So family, on that note, let's say this. Remember what Dr. B says: I forgive myself, my family, and others for imperfection, and I am thankful for my life. And remember what Dr. Blair says: please, universal creator, know in my heart that I love you. Please protect me and this planet on which I live now. Please open my mind, my spirit, and my soul to receive only truth in your love now. Thank you very much for enjoying. I want to thank Brother Aseer, the Duke of Tears, again. Make sure you support him on his website, aseerthedukeoftears.com, his wife's website, CordobaOrganics.com. Their Cash App, of course, is $DS418, and also the PayPal is paypal.com. Use the email dukeoftears@gmail.com. Once again, we want to thank our brother for coming in on the Tuesday night and Tuesday evening. And family, always remember this: let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, giving love and honor to the energetic source, the all within all of us. Take care. And remember, I love you because I love me. Take care and be safe. Peace. Content disclaimer: the views, comments, and opinions expressed by guest speakers or authors on this YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcasters and its sponsors. Parental guidance is advised. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. For fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. Today's consciousness, today's consciousness, today's consciousness. What happened and how can we change it? From the pristine position that we held in today's consciousness, here's a new show just for you every Tuesday called Today's Consciousness. Be there and enjoy all the great special guest stars that will be passing through on a new show called Today's Consciousness. Today's Consciousness. Today's Consciousness. Are you ready to address all the things that are going on? And how can we heal today's consciousness? Today's consciousness. Today's consciousness. Right here on KSP TV. Today's consciousness. What happened and how can we change it? It's about guiding people. The only way you can make the world better is if you make the people better. It's about showing them the light of hope in themselves and their family. Everything in this universe is all about synchronicity.
Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Numerology from the king, learn the foundation from the king. Nana Pushe, 1 + 1 is 2. Be precise. 3 + 2 is 5. Guard your mind. Me plus you is mathematician. Learn from V1 Numerology. Numbers are simple, people are complicated. Me no vision from a king, me inside from the king. Numbers are simple, no people are complicated. Numerology from a king, the foundation from the king.
No, it's not about reading, it's about guiding. I don't do readings, I do consultations because you should know yourself. As good as the back of your hand, you should know yourself. I want everyone out there to be clear that this is to serve you like a GPS serves you. Remember, each of us has guaranteed ourselves success. Be that magi, family. Be that magician. Be that numerational motivated force. It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022 and get my books on Amazon now.